Hey, welcome back to the ULH podcast. Welcome back, everybody. It's been a minute. Not a minute since you guys have seen a podcast, but a minute since we've filmed. I was sick the last week, which is actually why our podcast is launching a little bit later. So right now it's May 9th. This is going to be the launch video for the podcast the launch audio. And funny enough, because we record some of the episodes early, not all of them, but some of them we record a little bit early. And this one was supposed to be recorded at the beginning of last week, but I came down with the flu literally on, I think it was like Saturday night or Sunday night. My whole body was Sunday. My whole body was hurting, or maybe it was Saturday. Anyway, it was some day, and my whole body was hurting, and I literally felt like I ran through like some marathon and then got hit by a truck, and I was like, that's not normal. So I went to sleep early, and when I woke up, I literally had the plague. So it was not fun. It was a week of excruciating pain, and my fiance also ended up getting horribly sick and ended up staying home for the entire, she went to work on Monday, and she was sick Monday, but she went to work and she was like, I'll be okay. And then next thing you know, she came back and she was like, you know what, I'm done. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we suffered. And Saturday wasn't the best either. Honestly, we literally just got over it. It's now Tuesday. So it took a full week, and I still up until yesterday, I had this weird taste. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but like if you've had the flu at any point in your life, you may know what I'm talking about. You get this weird taste in your mouth. It literally just tastes like being sick. And it's just not the best. It's not a vibe. It's not fun at all. It's not the motive. So I'm still, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I'm still a little off. Now recovering and getting better, thank gosh. But yeah, it was not fun at all to be so sick, and I hate being sick, and I literally hate having the flu. I'm like a big baby when I get sick. So I was just suffering, just absolutely suffering. So I'm finally getting back in the swing of things, and now we're finally able to film, because I tried to film last week. And there was one day specifically I was like, you know what, I have to film, because I wanted to launch the podcast still within the first week of May. And I literally sat down, I was recording, and I fell asleep. So yeah. So that episode is not coming out. It would be a very boring episode, 32 minutes of me just snoring. I don't snore, so I don't know if I was snoring. But yeah, it just wasn't pleasant. So I'm still I literally had to hydrate so much. I felt so thirsty. I thought I was in the Sahara Desert. It was just not a vibe. I don't know what flu I had, but it was like a super flu. It wasn't COVID. The weird to say that still. I feel like COVID isn't really a thing anymore. People really don't. I don't know many people that are like, I'm not feeling well, it might be COVID. But I also know 100 people that asked me when I was sick, did you test for COVID? I was like, for one, yes, and for two, no, it wasn't. There are other sicknesses out here, but other than COVID, okay? I hate hearing about COVID. It's honestly just such a bore. But yeah, so finally, we're launching the podcast. We've been recording for about a month now, so we have a month's worth of episodes ready to upload, but we wanted to actually film a specific launch episode, and we wanted it to be as close to the launch date as possible. So that's what this episode is. But the other episodes will be coming out, and you guys will be seeing those. We're starting out the podcast every Friday for the month of May and June, and starting in July, we'll have an episode every Monday and every Friday. So about September, we'll have 3 episodes a week. So make sure that you're subscribing, that you click the notification bell, and that you like and comment this video, so that way you can keep up to date with all the next podcast episodes we have launching. And I'm just some random guy from Toronto that's just gonna be on the podcast. If you know me, though, you know I'm not actually in Toronto, so you know I live a little bit outside of Toronto, because Toronto's cost of living is not normal. I don't think it should cost you more than you make to live. So yeah, so I live a little bit outside of Toronto, but for all of you who are not familiar with Toronto, I live in Toronto, because it's just simpler to say that. So yeah, Before we jump in, though, I would like to take a moment to tell you about urbanlinehub.ca, where you can find so much. We have so much to offer at urbanlinehub.ca, including blogs, articles, videos, and more. We have merch like crazy and so much to help you build your business. So you got to go check it out at urbanlinehub.ca. We are more than just a brand, we are a movement, and we are so much more than that as well. And we believe in innovation. We believe in small businesses. We believe in entrepreneurs, creators, innovators just like you. So go check it out right now at urbanlinehub.ca. We're all innovators in some way, so it's perfect for you. And of course, you can spice up your closet because some of you are walking around with the ugliest closets I've ever seen in my life. I literally see so many people dressed so ugly, and I'm like, just go to urbanlinehub.ca. You could be dressing like a king, but you look like a muppet. So let's update our closets, fam. Let's update our closets. And who knows? So, hey, listen, some people, I understand. The cost of living, inflation, everything, it is insane. So like maybe you're thinking, I don't need to update my closet. But let me tell you something. The clothes don't make the man, but they definitely make you feel better. Okay? So I'm just saying you should spend a little bit on your wardrobe. You got to walk around with it. You got to be seen in it. Nobody wants to see somebody dressed ugly, and I don't think you want to see yourself dressed ugly. That's why you have less mirrors in your house than you do places to sit, right? So go check it out, urbanlineup.ca. Get yourself something nice or for the cutie in your life. And let me tell you something. Let me speak to all the guys here. If you want to keep a girl, you need to get her a gift every once in a while. The perfect place to find the perfect gift that she's going to be happy with regardless of her personality is urbanlineup.ca. So go check it out right now. We literally have the sweetest review written by one of the best people ever and one of our best supporters. She literally has supported us since day one. And I want to shout her out. Shout out to Jessica. She said to me after getting her ULH skirt, she was able to wear it as the weather got nicer, and she said, hey, I was able to wear the skirt I bought from ULH today because it was so nice out, and I wanted to say it's amazing. I'm not a huge skirt person, but I want to start wearing them, and this one was perfect. It was lightweight and super comfortable, and I felt so confident in it. I absolutely love it. Those are the reviews we love to hear. So if you get something from urbanlineup.ca, don't forget to leave us a review or use the chat with us feature on our website at the bottom right hand of the corner, or the bottom right, the right hand side, the right hand corner, whatever the heck it's called. Go check it out at urbanlinehub.ca. I still got a little bit of a cough, and like I still have phlegm every once in a while, and I'm like spitting phlegm out every so often, so I look like a crazy person sometimes. But that's okay. I live alone right now. No, I'm joking. I don't live alone. But I live in a very dingy building, so like nobody here thinks I'm crazy. They're crazy. Most of the people here are pretty crazy. Literally, one of my neighbors just the other day was taken to the hospital for overdosing on meth. Well, almost overdosing. They didn't actually OD because they're alive. But yeah, so that's just to give you an idea of what my building's like. Bunch of crackheads in this building. There are a bunch of like families and like stuff like here too. And there's like there's like in the people who just came to the country and stuff, and there's a whole bunch of different types of people here, to be very honest, but there is a lot of crackheads too. The crackheads kind of stay in one area, and if they leave their apartment, they're usually like in the parking lot, in one section smoking crack or whatever. But anyway, yeah, it's an interesting building. That's all I'm saying. Life is interesting though, isn't it? Life is interesting. The journey of life is interesting. I also think the perspective of life is interesting. And I'm just a random guy. Just chatting on the internet. I have a mic and a laptop. Figured why not start a podcast? Might as well do something else. Turn a hobby into something interesting. Maybe somebody watches. Maybe nobody watches. I get more opportunities to talk. I don't mind. I literally talk so much. I could literally just talk to myself. Sometimes I'm walking down the street or something and I'm like thinking about something. I'm like, I could literally just have a conversation about this right now by myself. And sometimes I will. Sometimes I'll be walking down the street and I'll just be talking to myself and I'm looking all crazy. Actually, speaking of walking down the street, I had a very interesting experience today. I was walking. I don't know. I think people have lost their minds, and I think following COVID, everybody's kind of crazy now. I don't think people are normal anymore. And I say that because anybody I run into lately is not normal and hasn't been normal since COVID. And I remember going on walks before COVID. I remember interacting with people before COVID. Some of you may not remember interacting with people before COVID, but I do. And I don't remember anybody being this crazy. I don't know if during COVID we were transported into a different dimension or something, but people are insane. So I was walking down the street today, and this lady, I don't know how old she is. She might have been like in high school or something. I don't know. She could have been older. She could have been in college. It's kind of hard to tell with some people nowadays as well after COVID. Like, I don't know. But that was starting before COVID, but it really accelerated after. Some children look like they're 50. It's creepy. But yeah, so this woman was walking down the street. I don't know her age. Um, and I think age is relevant for what she did, because if she was in high school, okay, maybe you have an anxiety or something, and or maybe you're just like weird. But she passed by me, okay? Literally, like, of course, people that are past a certain age, and are on the younger side don't have any manners. And I'm one of those people that are younger, but I have manners. I was raised to say good morning and hello to people. So when I walk past people on the street, I say hi. I say, how are you doing? I'm Canadian. I'm nice. I don't know. People who live here apparently are not very nice. If you're Canadian, you might know what I'm talking about. If you live anywhere close to Toronto, you know what I'm talking about. People are rude. So I'm walking down the street, this lady's like on her phone, just staring at her phone, of course. And I do that too. I have a little measure of anxiety, so not a little measure. I have quite a bit of anxiety. So I look at my phone when I'm passing by somebody. Sometimes if I know they're not going to say hello, because I get anxious about not saying hello, so I end up staring at people to see if they're going to say hello. And if they don't say hello, then I feel awkward. So, and if they do, if I they do say hello, I think I'm a little creepy because I'm staring at them to see if they're going to say hello. So anyway, I look at my phone and I look up just as I'm about to pass somebody to see if they say anything or look at me, and then maybe I'll say hello. This girl did not look at me. She looked in the other direction, and as soon as she got behind me, she started running. And I was like, okay, I thought, okay, well, maybe she's running to her destination. I turned around maybe about two seconds later, and she wasn't running anymore. So I don't know if she ran just to pass me, but she didn't run to pass me. She passed by me and then ran. So I don't know if she got spooked. I don't know if she's that skittish. I literally looked myself up and down. I'm like, do I look like a weirdo or something? Like, I don't know. I don't think I look like a weirdo. I wasn't talking to myself, and I don't think I even stared at this woman. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I'm wearing sunglasses, and I think people can't see my eyes, and then I realize, oh, they can, and I'm staring at people. Sometimes I'm wearing my regular glasses, and I think I'm wearing sunglasses. So, it's possible I stared at her for a moment, and if I did, I didn't even notice. But I don't understand why she'd pass by me and then run. Like, I could understand if you ran past me. And listen, I have anxiety, so if I ran past somebody or I ran at all while passing someone, I would keep running until they weren't in view of me anymore. Which wouldn't have been very long for her. I don't know if she decided running was too exhausting, or like, I really was baffled as to what happened. I was very confused. But I think I look normal. I'm wearing like ripped jeans, my favorite pair of Vans. I've got like long hair, so it's tied back today because I just didn't want to deal with it. And I've got like one strand of hair that decided to come out in the wind, and it perfectly placed itself to the right side of my face. So it just looks like, I purposely put it there. And I'm wearing like a plaid shirt that my grandma got me. So I think I'm pretty normal. I don't think I looked like a weirdo or anything, but apparently something spooked her. I don't know if she's just like high anxiety. Maybe she's crazy. She could be a psycho. She could be on crack. Maybe she's on meth or heroin. I don't know. Or she could have been high on weed and just maybe she was a little paranoid. But I don't know if any of those examples were true. I don't know why you'd pass by me and then run. That was what baffled me. And not even run for that long. She ran for a few minutes, but when I say ran, I don't mean like she jogged lightly. I mean like she full, like Usain bolted for 2 seconds and then decided she was exhausted or something and stopped running and then just proceeded to walk. So I don't know. People are crazy. She might have been in high school though. She had a backpack on. Usually when I see people with backpacks, I assume they're in high school because when I was in high school, I always had a backpack on. But I also know 1,000 people who used to go to high school who didn't wear backpacks, and I know 1,000 people who walk around with backpacks all the time. So I'm not sure. She could have been in college. I'm in college, so sometimes I'm not sure because I feel like I just got out of high school. Yet then sometimes I look at high schoolers and I'm like, you look like children. So I don't know. I'm really not a good gauge on. I'm not good at gauging age. I'm not good at gauging a lot of things, to be very honest to you. I have a very bad, like, any type of radar that people have. I don't possess. I don't know. I've never been good at telling if somebody was, like I don't know if this is offensive anymore. I'm also, that's another thing. I'm worried about what's offensive. I don't know if this is offensive. If this offends you, I apologize, but I don't have a good gaydar. I oftentimes I have a really bad gaydar. Like, people will be completely flamboyantly gay, and I will have no clue. I'll be like, "You're gay?" In high school, I had a friend who was a lesbian, and I had no clue until she literally said, "I'm a lesbian," and I said, "You are?" And she went, "Yeah, you didn't know?" And I was like, "No." And apparently it was obvious. I don't know. I just thought she was a tomboy. I don't judge people. I don't need to know what orientation you are. If you want to tell me, tell me. If you don't want to tell me, don't tell me. I'm not going to inquire. It's none of my business. I'm not sleeping with you. Like, why should I care? But yeah, I don't know. I am also very tired today. I also haven't had lunch yet. It's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I haven't had lunch. I'm hungry, but I wanted to film this, and then I got sidetracked at one point. I was gonna film, and then I was like, oh, let me do this instead. But yeah, it's so hard to jump back into the week after being sick. It really is an exhausting task to jump back into normal day activities after being sick, especially when you have this weird taste in your mouth. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about. I have this weird germy taste in my mouth still. And it's not like I don't brush my teeth. I brushed my teeth. I drink lots of water. I've had other things to drink, and yet this is still the taste that it's in my mouth. I will say last week it was much worse. Like, it was so prevalent that I literally couldn't taste anything else. I thought I had COVID because I couldn't taste anything. Not that I even really, like, I only test for COVID now because my fiance works with babies, and I worry sometimes, but like at the same time, you know, like COVID's, anyway, who cares? Anyway, it's 2023 now. COVID's over. Apparently, the World Health Organization just recently declared that the pandemic is downgraded. I didn't even know it was still a thing. I thought it was downgraded since lockdowns weren't happening anymore. Thank God that lockdowns aren't happening anymore. Does anyone remember that? That was horrible. 2 years, and I didn't even realize the pandemic went on for so long. I graduated high school. I remember leaving high school for March break and thinking, I'm gonna come back for what's in my locker, and then not being able to see what was in my locker for many months, until the end of summer. And my girlfriend at the time had to go pick up our things because I had COVID. No, I didn't have COVID. I had something else, but I was at what was extreme risk of getting COVID, and at that point I cared. So, because it wasn't that long into the pandemic, so I still cared a little bit. There was a point where I was like, well, if I get COVID, it's fate. I thought because that was back when they were still saying if you get COVID, you're gonna die and everything like that. And then I had COVID 4 times. I avoided COVID for the entire pandemic until they lifted lockdowns, and then I got COVID multiple times, and from the most reasonable places, like you know what I mean, like I didn't get COVID from going to a party in someone's basement. I got COVID from going to like an event. Like, you know what I mean? I got COVID from going to Walmart, and I got COVID from going to the doctors. So, all places I guess you could get COVID. Well, I did get COVID, so clearly you could. But who wants to talk about COVID anyway? Like, come on. COVID is such a dull thing to talk about now, especially in 2023. There are so many more interesting things to talk about, like the war, the rising cost of living, affordable housing not being available to anybody. I know people that have been looking for housing. I've been looking for a permanent apartment. Like, I want to live in an apartment for 10 years, and I'm looking for an apartment to live in for a while. And we've been looking for an apartment to live in for a long time now. It feels like it almost a year. And like, the apartment we're in right now is a short-term leasing apartment. Like, oh, thank gosh, our lease has been renewed at least once now, and it looks like it's going to get renewed again. But like, it's so hard unless you have like triple A credit and you make $1 million a year. Nobody wants to rent to you, which I don't know who they're renting to. I don't know who these people are looking for or waiting for. I don't know if I'm just like, am I really such on the low end of the spectrum? Like, I don't know I'm confused. I really am confused. I remember when I was a kid telling people I'm going to move out at 18 because back then rent was $900 a month. And now it's like I can't find a one bedroom for under 2,500 within Toronto. You have to look outside of Toronto. So I'm looking far outside Toronto, like 2-3 hours outside of Toronto. Yet my fiance works in Toronto, soon to be wife. And all of our friends are in Toronto, and our life is in Toronto. And I go to Toronto weekly, so it's like not like Toronto's going to be out of the picture. And plus, my business is in Toronto, and a whole bunch of things I do are in Toronto. My clients are in Toronto. So yeah, it's just not, it's not a motive. Any events I want to host are in Toronto. And speaking of events, did you know Urban Lineup has a network, and the Urban Lineup network is responsible for connecting entrepreneurs, innovators, creators, musicians, and so many more from industries all over the world and different markets, different industries, and different businesses and business owners from all over the world, connecting them together, bringing resources together, bringing abilities together, bringing all the information you need to start, run, and manage your business, whether small or medium, or large. You can get connected to even larger companies. So get connected to the ULH network. If you want to get connected, inquire now at urbanlineup.ca using the chat with us icon or the contact us page. Just include in the subject or at the top of your message, if you're using the chat with us icon, the ULH network, and it'll be passed off to the right team agent. Sometimes if like, just to put it in perspective, if you send a message to us and you put no context, we're not going to know what you want. So that's just to let you know. Even if you just put something as simple as inquiring about the ULH network, we'll send you all relevant information. But some people, they send nothing. They literally just like a period, and then later on will call and say, I wanted to get connected, and I was trying to get connected, but nobody responded. You sent a period, sir. Like, what are we supposed to do? Are you on yours? Like, I don't know what it is you want from me. Like, I don't speak your mind. I don't read your mind. I'm not in your head. I don't know what you want. You have to say something. So yeah. Sorry, I got a text and I had to read it quickly. So yeah, so anyway, life is crazy, especially after COVID. I feel like a lot of people are insane, and the journey of life is just forgotten. I feel like people, like I don't know if you guys have heard this term, but people around me talk about this thing called the collective, and I don't know what it is. I know nothing about it, but what I've summarized about this collective is that people believe that we're all living either in a simulation, in the matrix, whatever, or that we're all connected in some way, which of course, we're all connected in some way. We're all on the earth. And if, you believe what I believe, we're all connected in some way. But at the same time, this idea that we all must live the same life is ridiculous. And it's funny to me that all the same people I'm talking about that want to live in this collective, or they believe that we're living in this collective and that we all need to have basically cookie cutter lives, don't want a cookie cutter house. Like, how does that work? If you want to have the same life as your neighbor, you have to have the same house too? Shouldn't you live? I'm sure some scientists out there will be like, no, you don't actually have to have the same house to live the same life, but who cares? Why would you want to be the same as somebody else? For one, I think it's crazy that where I live, I don't know where you live in this world, but where I live, people judge you and you're like less human if you don't have the newest Air Jordans or the newest Nikes. Um, and it's insane that, like, if you're not wearing a brand name, you're a lesser human being. And yet there are people in this world that, like, their only happiness in life is to drink alcohol and, eat a feast and go to sleep on the ground. So I don't know why we have to be so pompous out here. And it's like, where's your Nike? Where's your Air Jordans? Are you wearing off-brand shoes? What are those? Like, get out of town. Get a grip. Okay, fine. In high school, you had nothing better to do. You had no life. You had no anything. You had no sense of the world. Fine. You want to walk around and say, what are those? Whatever. Who cares? But you're in your 20s. Grow up. Grow up. Grow up. Some people need to grow up. Listen, I know a lot of people in their 20s right now, and the looks on our faces. Okay? I'm in my 20s. I'm sure anybody else in their 20s or who has been through their 20s knows exactly what I'm talking about when I say the look on our face. You wake up, okay? Now yet I know a lot of people that are living the same lives they did as in high school and they don't feel ashamed. Which, like, listen, your life, do what you want. You don't have to live the life I'm saying you should live, but I'm just saying I don't think we need to be walking around at 25 going, "What are those?" Like, are you a child? Do you not have bills to pay? Because I don't care what those are. I have bills to pay, okay? I have rent to pay. Yet I know so many people that don't even consider rent. Like, rent is not a part of their vocabulary. I don't have that option. I do not have a parent's house to go live at. So I have to pay my rent and I have to have a place that I can rent. So right now in this economy, that's whatever is available because apparently they're waiting for the YouTubers to buy houses out here. I don't know why. Like, I don't know what person is making enough money to live in this city that's actually wanting to live here. Like, I really don't know. The people I know that want to live here, they have no choice. The other people have never lived here yet. And the people who have lived here, like, for one, you can't even take public transit in this city anymore without being worried you're going to die. That's a little extreme. I would like to go down the street in a bus and not worry whether that's my last trip ever. You know, like my wife, my fiance, my soon to be wife. A lot of the times I refer to her as my wife just simply because we're like really like we're literally waiting for the confirmation of our signatures, um, on our marriage thingies, and she literally will not take public transit because for one I don't want that. I don't want to say bye honey, have a good day, and that be the last time I see her. And that's a real concern out here in these streets. I know people who don't leave their house. I know people who want to find a remote job because they're afraid of commuting to work. Like, your commute should not be scarier than your job. Like, really, like, seriously. We live in a city where you can't even walk out of your house after 6 p.m. without probably going missing. Like, I'm telling you, I followed the Toronto police people. I don't know what they're called on Twitter, and they put out these updates. It feels like every time someone's murdered or kidnapped or something, and literally daily there's missing, 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 and wide ranges of people, like people from 5 to 1,000, men to porcupine. And I don't understand why all these people are going missing and they don't seem to find any of them. Like, you're telling me in a society with cameras everywhere, nobody can find missing people? Nobody knows what happens to missing people. There was a lady that was on, they were talking about on the news the other day, walked into a car and was never seen again. It's been months. It's been actually a year, I think. I think it's been 2 years even. She's still missing. They're still looking for her. Like, you're probably not going to find her. Listen, I took criminal psychology and within 48 hours, the person's probably dead. So, like, I'm not saying, and not saying that to any of you waiting for someone to come home. They're probably out there. They're probably out there. Just find some comfort. They're probably out there. To those of you that are not, they're probably dead. So it's insane to think that they're still looking. And mind you, there's people going missing today, and they're not looking for them because they're looking for people that went missing 10 years ago. Which listen, I'm not saying stop looking, and I understand there's not an infinite number of resources, but come on. Um, there needs to be something. People are being dragged out of their cars in suburbs outside of Toronto and mugged and robbed. And if they're lucky, they're alive. And if they're not lucky, it's their neighbors telling the story of how they watched their neighbor die. So it's just, yeah, it's really not pleasant. So I don't know who is going to be paying $1 million a day to live here because, for one, rent is crazy. The price of groceries out here. We shop outside of the city simply because it's too expensive to shop in the city. Like, you can go to Freshco or Food Basics in Toronto, and it's significantly more expensive than Food Basics outside of Toronto. And even the suburb I grew up in is like disgustingly expensive. And when I listen, I grew up there. It's boring. There's nothing to do there but to walk around and look at yourself, and yet it's expensive, like as if it's New York City, as if they're offering something interesting for you to do, as if it's a place you want to live. And I don't know, like I guess if you come from another country, maybe you want to live here. But if you live here already, you probably don't. And I know people who immigrated here yesterday who don't want to live here no more. So it's not okay. It's not okay. And in this society, we work to live, and it's just crazy to me. There's so many societies on this planet where their first thought is not if I'm going to be a millionaire every day. Like, we literally think daily about being millionaires in this society. Like, people, and I really do think it comes down to comparison. I think, previous generations raised generations based off of comparison. And you can tell that because I feel like millennials who've had children, most of them don't like the comparison thing. I'm generalizing, but most of them don't like the comparison thing. So their Gen Zs seem to be less comparison minded anyway. But social media itself makes you compare yourself to other people. So it's just like, it's crazy that we spend our lives saying, well, if you're not 20 and a millionaire, you're failing at life. Most people at 20 are on crack. So I don't see why, if you're not a millionaire, you're still winning. If you're alive, you're still winning. Like it used to be, everybody used to want to get married, have a kid, and a white picket fence. Now everybody wants to be a millionaire or the next, Ice Spice. Like, they want to have a stupid name and be famous. Like, I just don't understand. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But this is the society we live in. And you don't have a choice of what society you live in. You just have to make it work. You have to make do, unless you can flee. So speaking of fleeing, I would like to know options. Like, does anybody know where we could move? Like, I would like to live somewhere where I could just have a nice job, a nice apartment, um, and not have to have AAA credit because I'm 21. I do not have AAA credit because I started building credit last year, because I didn't know it's something you needed. I don't have financially literate parents, so I had to teach myself finances. Ironically, I decided with my amazing tool set that I've been given and resources to go start a business, and learn about all these finances and stuff like that. Thank God I did, though, because I now know my parents are not financially literate. And that's no insult to them. That's no insult to them. I think if you grew up in a few decades ago, you didn't have to be financially literate to survive. Now you have to know how to balance a budget, and if you don't know how to balance a budget, you're going to starve to death. Which is it's not funny. It's actually quite sad. I know people right now that are starving. I know people that live in this country that work 40 hours a week that are starving just so they can pay their rent. And the only reason they got their rent is because when they got their apartment, they didn't need to be making $1 million a day. Now they need to be making $2 million a day. So it's insane. The world we live in has changed, and changed in my lifetime, and I'm not that old. Like, I could understand if you're 200 years old and the world's changed. Of course it has. You're 2000. But if you were born in 2002 and after, and the world's changed for you, put that in the comment section, because I think it's quite interesting that so many of us born recently are living like the life is completely different now. Life is just another life. Like, we don't, no one has the same life they used to have. Like, when I was a kid, fam, you could look up apartments. I used to literally do this, and apartments were $900 a month. You wanted a studio apartment, $650, $900 at the top end, maybe a little more. Whatever. Those were the nice ones. Now you can't get a crackhead apartment for $500, $900. You couldn't get a crackhead apartment for $1,500. You have to go and live in like the craziest of places now to have affordable rent. And nobody seems to care because the people who can fix this, they don't have to worry about it. So it's the rest of us. And I saw some guy, like some UK politician, who apparently said, everybody's poor now and they need to realize that and be poor and shut up, and basically just be poor and wallow in their porum. I don't know if that's a word, but yeah, I feel like that's not a fair way to live life, and that's not a fair mindset to have. But apparently, it's a mindset that works for the rich. So I don't know what to tell you. It's crazy to think that that is a mindset that people possess and seem to live their life happily with. That people should not be able to afford a place to live. Like we live in very rich societies. I can understand if you live in a country that's being war torn right now, why you would say something like maybe, don't stress too much about finding a place, or you shouldn't be so picky. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like that's not fair either. So I just feel like that's another thing you notice in your 20s. Life really isn't fair. You've heard that your whole life, and then you're like you reach 20 and you're like, oh, it really isn't. And then you get a grip. And that's my problem with all these weirdos that are 27 years old and are walking around, listening to Coil Ray and Ice Spice, thinking they're Coil Ray and Ice Spice, and walking around judging people for not having brand name outfits. They can't afford to feed themselves, though. It's like they're suffering just as much as everybody else, and yeah, they're judging people based off of what brand they're wearing. So I think that's interesting. I feel like that's a really, really big concern of mine. Yeah, and you can't afford to live in this city. You can't afford to live safely in this city. You can't, like, it's not nice. And then mind you, you need an education, but if that's up for debate now. People don't even, I know people with educations that spent 10 years in school who are working at McDonald's, and I know people who never went to school who are managers at McDonald's. So I don't know. I really think it's a gamble. I think every day is a little bit of a gamble, and you just need to enjoy the journey of life. And I also think people need to get a grip. Like, if you're 20 years old and your life isn't where you want it to be, just keep working at it. 10 years. In 10 years your life will probably be closer, if not there already. Like, I don't understand people who aren't 80 who feel like their life is over because they're not millionaires. Like, for one, you don't need to be a millionaire to live. So, well, never mind. You need to be a millionaire to live if you live where I live. But if you live in, like, Iceland, Norway, maybe Denmark, you don't need to be a millionaire. There are places, I feel like, maybe even in Canada. You can live in the Yukon. I actually have been considering that as an option. Like, that's a viable option for me. If I knew how to move to the Yukon, and, like, I don't know what it's like up there. I don't know if you can just move up there. I don't know if I have to go through the same process as here, for getting an apartment. I don't know if you build your own apartment there. I don't know if you just live in a village and people just be like, hey, come live with me and just hunt for food. I would do that. I really am sick of the Toronto way of life. Work until you want to die and still not be able to afford anything. I know people who work 50 hours a week, who are literally being forced out of this city because of the prices. And I am one of those people who work every day. I don't get paid by the government to live. And, not crapping on those people who get, government money to live. Maybe you need it, maybe you don't. I don't care what you're doing to survive and live your life. What I care about is the fact that it's so damn expensive. That's what I care about. I went to the store to buy chicken breast last night because I wanted to have a chicken wrap for dinner. And tell me why a 4-pack of thin, and when I say thin, I mean you could see through this chicken breast, was $25 at No Frills? Are you out of your mind? I would like to know what was in that chicken breast. Gold? Because I ended up buying a pack of chicken breast that I've seen at the store my whole life and used to be considered expensive. It was $12 for 3 chicken breasts. They were pretty good size, and I was able to cut them into pieces so that they lasted. Like, we ended up having quite a few chicken strips out of that. But yeah, I just thought, like, that's crazy. And then I was looking for hot dogs, which I couldn't find any of the hot dogs I wanted. I found these ones I've never seen before. I hope they're good. I like the beef flavored hot dog, not the beef flavored hot dogs, the beef hot dogs. I don't like chicken hot dogs. They taste disgusting. I don't like turkey hot dogs because I don't know why do they taste so weird. And I don't like pork hot dogs just because I don't, if I don't know it's pork, I like it. But then once I know it's pork, I'm like, I don't know. Yet I do like a good pork hot dog, but I like beef hot dogs a lot. Like those I'll have regular. Like I'll make myself a beef hot dog, but I'll go to a barbecue and get a pork hot dog. Like, does that make sense? Anyway, the shelves were empty. The shelves were empty. $20 hot dogs were gone too. Like, it's so expensive out here. It's insane. It's insane. And I know this is something that the whole world's facing right now. And I know there's people that can't even talk about things being expensive because they don't have anything. And I feel for those people, but for those of us who work 40 hours a week and then also have to pay rent and then want to be able to eat dinner and every night, like, I know people who it's a discussion, like they have to think about every week whether they're going to eat dinner every night or maybe just a few nights. Like, it's not okay. I know people who are like who are figuring out that they can survive a few days without food. Like, that's not pleasant to think that in a first world country people are working 40 hours a week and they can't afford to eat a meal. Like, isn't that slavery? Okay, and I know some people are gonna flip out. They're gonna be like, "Are you comparing high cost of living to slavery?" Yes, because why am I working 40 hours a week and I can't eat? That's not that's not normal. Like, I can eat, but I know people who can't eat. And I can eat because there's two of us working 40 hours a week. Um, and I have a very minor amount of support. Um, from my parents. So, like, when I say minor, I mean like less than $200 a month, because they can't afford their bills either. So, like, it's insane. It's insane. But then I know people who can't afford to eat who spend $300 a month on self care. So that's probably not good financial choices either, because you could probably split that $300 at least for 3 weeks and have a meal a week at least. At least I know how to really put, like, I we spent 20 something dollars at the store yesterday, and that was our groceries for the week. But I know how to stretch things. Like, I know how to, again, take a pack of chicken breast and make it last 3 days. I had to learn how to do that too. And that's one good thing that I was able to learn. But at the same time, it's hard out here. It's very hard out here. Sorry, there's like a crazy person outside my window. Not thank God not outside my window, but like, a little bit away. One of my neighbors was screaming about how the building needs to buy her a fan because it's too hot in her apartment. And I was like, love, go buy your own fan or move. Like, and mind you, this building has short term leasing. So like, you either leasing on a month to month basis, and that's the option if you have low credit or no credit, or you're leasing 6 months by 6 months. We're on a few month lease right now, so we have a few months, and then they either send us an updated lease or they say get out. They said get out last month. They told us to leave, and then they told us we can stay. So I don't know what happened. I think at one point the building was going to get shut down or something. Or even buildings can't afford to survive. Like, businesses can't afford it anymore. I know I have small business clients. I have small business clients who, I'm just making sure this crackhead isn't gonna like jump through my window. I I have small business clients who are like they started with me a few months ago. They can't afford the prices anymore, and I had to make deals with them so that they could afford the pricing for our services, because also we're the ones that help them run their website and everything else. Like, they'd lose a lot of that. So it's sad. It's sad. And I grew up, being taught, well, not really being taught, not by my family. My family doesn't know anything about compassion. Um, but I grew up in a society that's generally, I feel like Canada and Canadians are generally compassionate people. And it's crazy to see how that's changed. And I understand that people, like, everybody's struggling, right? So when everyone's struggling, no one has the chance to be overly compassionate. But come on, I know people who are living the high life, and they don't know how to be compassionate either, which is just crazy. Like, and I'm not talking about handouts. I'm talking about compassion. Like, just because somebody isn't rich, like, I know people like this. I don't know if you know people like this. Put it in the comment section. If you don't know people like this, let me know, because I'd like to know if this isn't normal. I know people who literally, like, if you're not a millionaire, they're not talking to you. Like they won't call. I have family that will not call me because I'm not a millionaire. Like, they literally told me, I'll call you when you're rich. Like, no, you won't. You're blocked. Don't answer one. Don't answer two. Don't answer three. Like, come on, get out of town. But you're gonna call me when I'm rich? No, you're not. I'm gonna call the police on you, you harasser. Don't come look for me when I'm rich. If you don't want to be my friend when I'm poor, don't be my friend at all. I'm not poor, thank gosh. But it's everybody seems a little poor nowadays. Come on. I see people go to the grocery stores and everybody's like, oh Lord, like, when people go to the grocery store and, like, you genuinely have like 15 people all with the same face, like, of just utter shock and despair, and they walk around dead and lifeless. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. I don't know. It's crazy. And that's another reason why you need to go to urbanlinehub.ca right now and get yourself some merch, because that's what makes me feel good. When I'm dressed nicely and I feel comfy and I feel confident in my clothing, I might not have eaten that day, but at least I'm happy in my clothes. So be happy in your clothes. Don't wear ugly clothes. And listen, maybe you look at our clothes and you're like, that's a little expensive. For one, we have cheaper options. For two, we have sales regularly. So follow us at Urban Line Hub Official on Instagram or Urban Line Hub on Twitter and get access to our sales. And if you sign up now for our newsletter, you'll get 15% off your next order. So go do that right now at urbanlinehub.ca. Yeah. So if things go as they're supposed to, this episode will be launching on, today's the 9th. Probably Friday, so the 12th. So if things go well in post, this episode will be launching on the 12th. And bear with us with this podcast. I really am just a person that talks a lot. Like, I have a lot to say, and then my fiance comes home and I'm like just bombarding her with things that I wanted to say to her all day. And the poor girl's tired, so, like, I'm like, you know what? Let me find. And I don't have any friends. I have no friends. I I have a few friends. I have a few very close friends, but they're busy trying to afford a life, at 20 years old in this city, trying to make it through school and stuff. So they don't have time to talk very much. So I'm like, you know what? I have a few hours every day. Let me record a podcast. I got a mic. I got a laptop. I'll record a podcast, post it up. So we will have video coming soon, and this podcast can change. Like, if y'all want something specific, let me know. If y'all like a certain format or a certain type of episode, we have episodes where we go over true crime stories. We have episodes where we go over articles. We have episodes where I'm ranting for 45 minutes. We have episodes where I'm talking right now about different things. Like, we have different episodes. We have episodes coming out in a few months because we have yet to film them because of scheduling conflicts, but with guests and stuff where we talk about different topics. So and if you want a specific topic, if maybe you have been thinking about what somebody else's thoughts on the king's coronation is, send that topic in. We'll talk about it on the show. You know how you send that topic in? Go to urbanlinehub.ca and use our contact page. Put in the subject line podcast idea or something, and we'll get back to you. And if we like the episode, maybe you'll be on the show. If you want to be on the podcast, you can be on the podcast via Zoom, or maybe we can come to a location near you. You never know. That's another thing I want to know. If you live in Canada, I would like to know where you live and how much rent is around you and how easy it is to get an apartment, especially with low or no credit. Because I don't have, my credit's not zero, but, like, it's not like 1,000, because I just started building it last year, and realtors don't seem to get that. People here are, like, ignorant. They're like, you go to apply to an apartment, they're like, why is your credit 1,000? Not 1,500? Because I just started building it last year. But why is it not 1,500? Because I have no credit history, because I'm 20. But why is it not 1,500? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Go and rob somebody and make my credit 1,500? Go to jail? Like, I don't know. What would you like me to do? Like, some people literally act like you shouldn't have a home if you're not making $1 million. Like, listen. I'm not saying you need to live in a mansion, but come on, you should be able to find something. Like, it's crazy. And yes, people like to say it's the competence of the government and it's this and it's that and it's this and it's that. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Who cares? It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. People are miserable nowadays. That's another reason no one says good morning. No one's having a good morning. Everybody's having a bad morning. And that's why when I walk down the street and I'm like, good morning, and people are like, like, what is going on? Is they're not having a good morning. They're having a bad morning. And most people wake up in Toronto and they say bad morning. Because if you step foot out of your house, you're probably having a bad morning in Toronto. But yeah, that's you know, that's how people are. That's how people are. We live in a society with people who are crazy, stupid, or walking around going, "What are those?" every 10 seconds, while people in third world countries are dying. Like, it's really a stark contrast between the two. And I understand I live in a first world country, but it doesn't feel like a first world country for a lot of people. And the few that it does are living off their mother's dime and their father's dime and buying brand names, off of their parents' dime, and they're judging everybody else. And I just don't think that's a fair way to live. I think that's a little crazy. And it's crazy that people are being bombed in Ukraine. And people in Canada are like sitting here and being like, where are your Nikes? Where's your Air Jordans? Listen, I wear Vans. It's not like I wear dirt shoes, okay? But if somebody does, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They're not a horrible person because they're not rich. Nobody wants to pay $3,000 for shoes. And really, to be very honest with you, if you're paying $3,000 for shoes, you're the idiot. You're stupid. Like, unless you're rich, you're stupid. If you can't afford your meals or to pay your rent, or you're not paying rent, and you're living in your mom's basement and you're paying $4,000 for shoes, you're an idiot. Like, I just hope you know that. So stop judging the people that are wearing dirt shoes, because maybe they got kids. Maybe they're trying to feed their kids. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're trying to feed their crack habits. But leave them in their dirt shoes alone. Okay? Leave them in their dirt shoes alone. Not all of us are in the monarchy, okay? Not all of us are King Charles. And speaking of King Charles, what are your thoughts on the monarchy and the king? And, I feel like people never had a problem with the queen, and now there's a king, and everybody's like, oh, we need to get rid of the monarchy. Who cares? I don't have time to debate with people on Twitter whether we in Canada should be part of the monarchy or not. We've always been a part of it. Why don't we just, move on and do other things? Like, we have much bigger issues going on. I literally read an article this morning about a baby's head being ripped off in Brazil. Actually, I think I still have the notification for that article. Let me see if I can find that article. Let's talk about that. Instead of discussing what's going on in Brazil or Mexico or with the cartel, or an article that came out the other day that said fentanyl is being pushed by El Chapo's sons. Like, all of these are major, you would think, major things to talk about. What if I search a baby's head being ripped off? Is the FBI going to flag me for that? Baby's head ripped off. Oh, no. Yeah. Okay, I found it. Yeah, but look, this is what people should be discussing, and now every dog in this building has to bark at each other for no reason. I don't know why. Oh, because the crackhead's outside with their dogs. Okay. Oh, wait, no, that's not the crackhead. That's a normal person. Okay. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell out here. Okay, so I've heard different reports on this. This article says something very different than other one I read. Okay, one of them I read said that the baby was... The doctor jumped on the mother's stomach and then ripped the baby's head off after delivering the baby. That one's a really disturbing thing. I don't know if it's even the same. It's not the same case. That's not good. This is a different article. Apparently, this is a thing in... Oh, this isn't even Brazil. This is in Buenos Aires. I don't know if that's in Brazil. Okay, well, let's read this article, and then we'll read that. We'll see if we can find the one I read earlier. I read the earlier one on Twitter. I wonder if I go to my Twitter and if I go to find my notifications, because I'd like to read that one first. It was a little more disturbing. Not that, not that I want to read disturbing things, but I read it already, so I might as well read it to y'all so you can tell me if you heard of this and what your thoughts are. And you know how you do that? You go to the comment section and you tell me what your thoughts are, or you can email us at info@urbanlineup.ca and you can tell us what your thoughts are on things so that we know what you're thinking. And this is not just a one-way conversation. And if you email us at info@urbanlineup.ca and we like your email, we will read it on the show. So it's always a thing. Okay, so this is from the Daily Loud on Twitter. A Brazilian doctor delivering a baby allegedly ripped the newborn's head off her body during childbirth. And here is the article. A Brazilian doctor is being investigated by police after allegedly pulling a baby's head off after climbing onto a pregnant woman's stomach. The incident, which happened on May 1st, reportedly took place at the Hospital das Clínicas da UFMG in the Santa Alfagina area of Belo Horizonte, Brazil. Following the incident, the family of the dead baby girl said that after the incident, the hospital tried to pressure the family into signing documents that would cover up what really happened, so some sort of NDA or something. Which I don't know why that would be the hospital's response. The hospital's response should be, don't sue us, but apparently people don't sue people in Brazil. A complaint was lodged against the police by the mother of the child, Miss Rainley Coelho Santos, 34, 2 days after the death of the baby girl. Ms. Santos said she was taken to hospital on April 24th after concerns were raised over her high blood pressure. A week later, doctors induced her labor and apparently ripped her baby's head off. I don't know how that happens. At first, I thought, okay, maybe like this doctor's an idiot and doesn't know how to deliver a baby. And I don't know how you're a doctor and delivering a baby and you don't know how to do it. But, you know, there's doctors for other things. So maybe this was a doctor that stepped in and accidentally ripped the baby's head off. But when the article says that the doctor jumped on the woman's stomach, I'm unable to grasp how that happens. I don't know how tall this doctor was. I don't know if he's a little person or something. But he apparently has the strength of a person to rip off a baby's head. I don't know how much strength you need to rip off a baby's head. I've never considered that as something. This one's from 2017, so that's disturbing. So this is a reoccurring thing that's happened over the last several decades. This article, so the first article I read is from 2023 in May. This article is from December 2017. Doctors accidentally decapitated. Okay, this was accidentally decapitated the baby during birth after it became stuck. Okay, so now that can happen. Okay, it's not reasonable, and it probably has something to do with. Apparently, this is a thing though. There's like 15 articles about nurses and doctors and OBGYNs ripping off babies' heads during. Is this something I have to be concerned about when I have a child? Do I have to be concerned they're gonna rip off my baby's head? Listen, I have anxiety. I'll be sitting there. I'll be like, excuse me, don't rip off their head. Like, I'll literally say this in the emergency room, in the birthing room, operating room. I don't know what room they put people in that are delivery room. That sounds like a good name. That's disturbing. That's highly disturbing. I don't know. I didn't know this was an issue that people faced. I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know people's heads get torn off during childbirth. I didn't know that was something. So that's crazy. Oh, apparently, okay. So this is like breaking news. The post-millennial breaking jury reaches verdict in E. Jean Carroll rape case, finds Donald Trump liable of battery and defamation against E. Jean Carroll. This is from the post-millennial. I'm gonna play the audio for a second because I want to hear what this is about. We'll talk about this now. Okay.
Good afternoon. We're coming on the air because the jury has now reached a decision in writer E. Jean Carroll's rape and defamation lawsuit against former President Trump. The jury in this civil trial just moments ago finding Donald Trump liable of battery and liable of defamation in connection with claims brought by E. Jean Carroll. Carroll accusing the former president of assaulting her in Bergdorf Goodman's department store back in 1996. Our investigative reporter Aaron Katersky has been following the case. He's outside the courthouse here for us. And Aaron, what have you learned as far as breaking this down? Liable for what, and then not liable for what else? David, this jury
Shout out to the
reached its
post-millennial.
verdict in a little bit of under 3 hours of deliberations after getting the case earlier today, and they found that E. Jean Carroll was battered and defamed by former President Trump. Interestingly, David, the jury did not find that Carroll proved by a preponderance of evidence that Trump actually raped her. However, they did find a lesser degree of battery, finding that Trump sexually abused E. Jean Carroll in that department store in the mid-1990s. And for that, they awarded $2 million in compensatory damages. More damages were awarded for defamation. They found that Trump did defame Carroll in the form of a social media statement from October of 2022 in which he said that Carroll was not his type, in which he called her claim a hoax and a con job. And for that, the jury awarded another $2 million in compensatory damages, all told. So it's a real win for E. Jean Carroll. She was seated between...
Okay, so I shout out to the Post Millennial because that's their reporting right there. I literally just opened my Instagram and saw that. Okay, follow me on Instagram at michael.andersonharding. Which if you don't know how to spell that, it's very easy. Just spell it however you think it is, and you'll probably find my account. I'm the one that says Michael AH Entrepreneur. Urban Line Hub is in my bio. Which Urban Line Hub is the company that does this podcast. So the sponsors of this podcast is Urban Line Hub. If you want to be a sponsor of this podcast, email us at info@urbanlinehub.ca with the subject line sponsor, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, so I'm not in the United States of America. I'm in Canada, and I don't like Trump. I will be very honest. If you are a Trump fan, I don't judge you. I don't have any problems with you. I just personally, I don't like Trump, but I also don't like a lot of people. I don't like certain Democrats. I don't like certain Republicans. I don't like certain conservatives. I don't like certain liberals. I don't like people. I like to pay my bills and mind my business. And so I have no idea about any of this. All I know is Trump is fighting 45,000 cases right now in every, I think, courtroom in America right now. I'm sure there's a lot more courtrooms than cases against Trump, but there's a lot of cases. So I have a few questions. I have more questions than statements or answers. My first question is, would this have happened if he never ran for president? If he never ran for president in 2016, would any of these cases have come up? Would these be cases he's fighting now? Would he still be fighting these cases as a 70,000-year-old man? Cases from 1912. Would he still be fighting these cases? If he lost, would he still be fighting these cases? If he lost and never was a threat again, would he be fighting these cases? And if he never decided to run in the next elections, because he then ran again in 2020 and lost, and now he's going to be running in 2024, or he's running now for the 2024 election. If he never ran in any of these, would these cases still be a thing? Would he still be fighting these cases? And would the outcomes have changed? Now, I have seen people say, for one, it's a witch hunt. I have seen people say it's justice. I have seen people say it's the legal system doing a fine job. I've heard people say, why isn't Hillary Clinton up there being sued for anything? I think it's because no one's brought a lawsuit against Hillary Clinton. I think people have brought, maybe they have, I don't know, but people have brought a lot of lawsuits against Donald Trump, and apparently he's not winning them. But he's also Trump. How long can he go without saying something stupid? I don't care. Listen, I don't care if you like him. If you like him, don't come for me, because let me tell you something. I don't care if you like him. I really don't care. I'm not saying he's a horrible person. I'm not in the U.S. I can't tell you if he was a good president or not. I can tell you we don't like him here. Most people they speak to in Canada, whether they're conservative or liberal, don't like Donald Trump. I think he's funny. I think he can be funny at sometimes. I think he was good when he was just an entertainer and a businessman. I think he should have just kept doing that. Once you get into politics, it's very divisive. But I do think he's an idiot because he makes very stupid comments, like bad hombres and stuff like that. Those weren't very sad. Those were bad comments. I don't care how conservative you are. If you're not racist, you probably think that's a bad comment. I know very conservative people. I know people who don't realize the Confederate flag is racist. And listen, before all the people in the South come for me, I have friends from the South. I don't know nothing about the Confederate flag. I was never born in the South. I don't know nothing. My opinion shouldn't matter. I'm from Canada. If you're going to get offended because I just said the Confederate flag is racist, I apologize. But I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure the southern people in the United States were not saying free the slaves. Maybe they were. Maybe they weren't. I don't know nothing about U.S. history. I don't know. I don't know. And you know what? Maybe take this opportunity to go to the comment section and educate me. Or email me at info@urbanlineup.ca and I will get back to you. If I'm an idiot, let me know. I have no problem with people letting me know I'm an idiot. I have no problem with that. But people wanna get mad at you and just not tell you you're stupid. Like, tell me if you think I'm stupid. Tell me. Um, yeah, but there's people I know a lot of people who are really highly conservative who think that some of his comments just are not the best. Like, nobody wants the divisiveness. If you're on a political side, your whole point is to win, and winning doesn't mean alienating half of the voting population, or alienating half the people you have to then work with after. Like, if you alienate the entire international community and you're an international country, a country that is like literally in every other country, it's a problem. It's a major problem. So I just think he says stupid things, and I think that like there's no way he's gonna win any of these cases or win all of them because he says stupid things, and he's probably already said stupid things about these cases that are already gonna get him in trouble. And this is what you see with this case. Apparently, a tweet or some Truth Social post, which I've been trying to get on Truth Social. I don't even know where you find Truth Social. I just want to see what's on there. I don't know what's on there. But the conservatives love Twitter again. So Elon Musk bought Twitter, and now Twitter's awesome. So I don't know. Twitter is fun every once in a while. I think there's only one social media that scares me, and that's Reddit. Reddit scares me because Reddit's crazy, and Reddit you have to debate every post whether it's a lie or it's real. Oh, that's another thing. If you like this podcast, we also have episodes of this podcast where we go over Reddit advice. Okay, so let's like, if you like that, let us know in the comment section, and maybe you'll get more episodes like that. I also want to say, if you don't like me, I'm not the only host of this show. There are other hosts, like Tiki B, who will be hosting a few episodes following whatever, like at some point. She's hosting a few episodes. She's already recorded those episodes. I don't know. I just don't know when post is going to have them finished and when they're going to go up. Remember, we're a small business with a very, very small team running a lot of things. So keep up with us. And that's another thing for our social media. Like, we have news, but it's always far and few between sometimes. So like, just bear with us. We are a small business growing and building a business out of nothing. I established this company in 2021. Literally out of nowhere. I didn't even know I was going to start a business in 2021. It literally just happened. So, check us out, Urban Line Hub Official on Instagram and TikTok and Reddit, or at Urban Line Hub on Twitter. We're also on Snapchat. If you want to join our Snapchat, you have to join our network. And you can join our network for free. We do have a free option to join our network. If you want to kind of get a taste of what it's like, you can join our network for free. Yeah. I'm getting hungry now. I think I'll make a hot dog. And oh my. Okay. Okay, so here we go. We'll end off this episode on some stupid thing. So let's end off this episode with some Reddit foolishness. Let's go to advice on Reddit. I don't know what's a subreddit. I literally do not spend enough time on Reddit to know any of this stuff. Okay, the first thing I opened up is, I think I'm friends with a cam girl, but I need someone to check my math. I don't know how much math you have going into that, ma'am or sir, but I don't think there's a lot. And it has 286 comments. So I'm not even going to bother with that one. Okay, that's a little aggressive. Sorry, the crackhead's like screaming at some random children out there. Okay. Anyway, that I think that's my cue. I think that's the cue to end this episode. Let me just make sure we actually had topics to talk about today, so I think I touched on all of them. Oh, I didn't touch on this one. So well, you know what? Let's not touch on this one. Let's not touch on this one. That's I was going to talk about Russia and Ukraine. Let's not do that. I feel like that's exhausting to talk about. We talked about the cost of living. We talked about affordable housing. We talked about everything right now. So anyway, this episode is going to be followed by two other episodes that we'll be launching immediately after. That is just a little treat for you guys to get a taste of our podcast, see if you like it. And if you don't like it, then it's okay. You come, still follow us, still subscribe. What do you do on YouTube? You subscribe. So still subscribe on YouTube. Click the notifications because listen, you may not like every episode. I'm just a random dude in Toronto just talking to you through my laptop. So maybe you don't like every episode. Who cares? If you don't like every episode, let us know. But maybe you like some episodes. Maybe you'll like an episode. Maybe you don't like any of our episodes yet. You could one day. You could one day. So subscribe and turn on the post notifications so you can keep up to date with all the podcast episodes we're launching. And maybe you'll like it. Maybe you'll like us. Maybe you'll decide one day, I like this podcast. Maybe you won't like this podcast. Maybe this podcast sucks and maybe it has no value for you. And if that is the case, I apologize because what a waste of your time. And if it's a waste of your time, well then, that sucks. But you know what's not a waste of your time? Going to urbanlinehub.ca, the sponsors of this podcast, and purchasing some merch from urbanlinehub.ca. How do you do that? It's very simple. You go on your device that you use to search the internet, and you go onto whatever search engine that you use and you search up Urban Line Hub. You can search up Urban Line Hub as one word. You can search up Urban Line Hub as separate words. You can search up urbanlinehub.ca and you'll be brought to our website, urbanlinehub.ca. And if you're on your phone, on mobile, you can click at the side. If not, it should just be at the top. And you can click the merch line, and then you can click our catalog. In our catalog, we have everything from all collections to our new arrivals. Our top features, our women's collection, our men's collection, and our full catalog. We also have things that go up every so often on there, and you can check out all our different collections. We have so much to offer. Currently, right now, we have our bags and accessories collection, our Empower Women's collection, which is quite awesome. I love that collection because at Urban Line Hub, we believe in empowering women, and that's what that whole collection is about. Literally with the theme and the design for empowering women. So go check it out at urbanlinehub.ca. We have our full catalog, our men's collection, our new arrivals, our select products, which are products that are brand name. Currently, we have, I think, 1 or 2 products in there, which are, one of them is from Champion. So the sweatshirt there is from Champion, the brand. So go check that out. We have our top features. And then we have quite an interesting collection, which is our Push Your Limit collection, which a part of the sorry, let me just check. I want to get the actual thing right. I also want to let you know I'm tired today. Listen, this may not be the best episode we've recorded. I am exhausted. I'm tired with the cost of living and everything out here. So listen. If you don't like this episode, that's fine. But I still recommend you go to urbanlineup.ca, and I still recommend that you click the notification bell because listen, you may like an episode in a few weeks. Stay tuned, check it out for a few months. If you don't like it after that, then unsubscribe. Here we go. So, yeah. So our Push Our Limit collection. So every purchase of any of our Push Your Limit merch will send $5 to the Canadian Association for Suicide Prevention and $5 to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. A total number of $10 to fight suicide every day. So go buy something from our Push Your Limit collection. If you don't get anything else, get our Push Your Limit collection merch because it's really for a good cause. Suicide is very close to my heart. And I want to do as much as possible to fight against suicide and to be a community leader against the fight for the fight against suicide. And Urban Line Hub will continue to do that until our company is no longer. So, and our hope is that our company will continue to be for a while. So yeah, so check it out, urbanlineup.ca. Go check us out and listen. If you're not an average person, you're not going to like this podcast. If you're looking for the next Ice Spice, you probably won't like this podcast. If you're looking for the next Jay-Z and Beyonce, You're not going to find them here because I don't think I'm as good as Beyonce or Jay-Z. Shout out to Beyonce and Jay-Z. You know, my good buddies. We have lunch every Tuesday with Justin Bieber. But you know what? If you're an average person and you like to talk about the average things or the things that are concerning to the average person, or maybe you just like to just take an hour out of your day, sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes more, out of your day to just, you know, chat with a good friend, then come sit with me and let's talk, because that's what this podcast is about. It's about talking about whatever's on my mind, whatever's on your mind, whatever's on our mind, and sitting and having a conversation. Maybe you don't have friends. Maybe you're like me and you have no friends. Come join me. Be my friend. Come join me on this podcast. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm going to go and make some lunch. So we'll catch up next week, buddy. Go check us out, urbanlineup.ca. Stay up to date. Follow us on Instagram so you can stay up to date on everything we have going on. And make sure that you click the notification bell and subscribe so that you can make sure you stay up to date with the next episode of this podcast is launched. So that's to recap. We are launching an episode for the month of May and the month of June and the month of July every Friday. So check us out here on the channel every Friday with a new podcast episode just for you. Stay blessed and stay awesome.